trying to do too many things at once.
Great, okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. Well, sorry to stream also. But yes, karaoke table TED Talks, effectively, just a very menacing list. Someone has, one person has created slides on a topic that they care about or they know something about, and we have other people, like another person, presenting those slides. The catch being that they have never seen those slides, and also in my case, at the very least, and I think some other people's cases, don't really know anything about the topic at hand. And we're hoping that will produce new research and information. This is a scientific endeavor, is what I'm saying.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the premise, and we're going to hand it over to Lewis for the first talk. With strawberry jam in hand.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to be ominous because Lil said I looked ominous. Sure. Yeah, no, this is my talk. Oh, well, I say it's my talk. It's not my talk at all. It's Scarlett's talk. But it's my name is there, so I must present. It is my burden to bear. Okay. Oh, someone else got a clicker. Fantastic. Yeah, so I did not write these slides. I have no idea what they contain. Oh, sure.
That doesn't work.
I see.
If you nod at me, I'll make sure.
But I take absolute responsibility for everything they say. Oh God, what have I gotten myself into? Yeah, that's about it. That's as far as things go. So, the main characters in the CCGs. CCGs, I know this one, it's collectible card games. Can't trick me just yet, Scarlett. They have characters, they have people in them. This is true. These are runners from Netrunner. They are characters and they are people. These are planeswalkers from Magic the Gathering. Also people, as it happens. This is Humpty Grumpty. He is shaped like a friend. A character. But who are the real characters in CCGs? That is the question I'm here to answer today. There are now 4 categories for determining a real character, which I will now elaborate on. Who are they? What is this character? Who are they? Literally, what is their name? What is their role? What purpose do they serve? How do they fit into the world? Again, what purpose do they serve? This time on a broader scale. What do they do for the world and the lore of the card game itself? A third category that definitely will not change and be absolutely and totally seemingly arbitrary from slide to slide. You're in with this one. We're all in this together here, folks. And a fun fact. Cool. I will have fun reading off these fun facts for these characters. So let's start with a nice easy one. This is Donut Taganez. He is a donut salesman from Netrunner. As you can see, the donuts are overcharged, which is why the play costs of operations and events are increased. Because you can't keep people productive without expensive donuts. That is the mantra that Krispy Kreme has. That's right, this man inherited the Krispy Kreme empire, the Krispy Kreme megacorp, if you will. So, Donut Taganez, the Krispy Kreme salesman. A evil, tyrannical person dedicated to stopping people having cheap access to street food. Oh, how many donuts would it take to make a life-size replica? So I'm thinking about 20 large ones for the head, right? The body, drawing tutorials have taught me this. Very, very bad, uninformative drawing tutorials is about 5 heads tall. So bang, we're on 100. Then width of the head, width of the body, rough average, I'm going to go about 300 donuts. Rough estimate. And a fun fact. This person sitting next to him is very, very fed up with what he's saying to the person across the table. He's been listening in the entire conversation and is very bored. Okay, that about does it for this one. Oh, something a bit more challenging. Oh, this is Jackson Howard. The real character is, in fact, this turtle here. Jackson Howard is a life-size automaton, hence the inhumanly large smile. Whoops! Oh no, the turtle was actually a puppet being engineered by this giant frog, by this small, puffied-up frog. That's my mistake. It's an easy mistake to make, you understand. This is Frogs Mackenzie. Again, friend-shaped. They fit into the world perfectly spherically, as it happens. They deserve every head pat from every person who has ever lived. You must pat Frogs Mackenzie, or you are denying a civic duty. And fun fact, yeah, this is the evil, insidious controller behind the entirety of NBN's advertising campaigns. This frog owns Jackson Howard. Okay, sometimes the questions, you need more than the questions. It can't simply be defined by the questions. Who they are does not matter in this case. It is utterly trivial. But the person they're talking to, oh, it's this person here who appears to be some sort of Oni given the head horns. From what I can gather, this person is talking to some sort of perhaps created demonic entity of some sort. And the person they're talking to fits into the world because it's Thomas Hass from Hass Bioroid. You see, you slipped up there, Scarlett, in that you left the name in the image. Mistake. Everyone recognises 420. It's just 419, but very, very high. Fun fact about Thomas Hass. It's actually a shortening of Thomas Häagen-Dazs, the ice cream magnate. This person makes ice creams and also Bioroids. But yes, obviously Netrunner is just one CCG, and although these have all been Netrunner themed, I am very sure the next ones won't be. Oh boy. Sure. I'm going to go with the real character being this one here slamming on this bongo drum, because that is the right attitude to take. I look forward to being proven wrong. Aww. Unfortunate. Okay, this character looks to be some sort of satyr with the horns, holding a banana. Clearly a dick, let's be honest. How they fit into the world? It is their life's mission to cause mischief and disgrace their friends, as is evidenced by the pulling of the ponytail and the joyful glee in which it's performed. Oh, definitely more. Like, bananas much smaller than donuts. Are you kidding me? Like, so much more. Almost twice the amount. Let's go 600 bananas. And fun fact, this person, despite holding a banana, has never eaten one in her life, which is why they are so joyous to be holding it. They're about to experience the first banana experience they have ever had. Now, I think everyone, myself included, are definitely prepared to answer all of the following questions. Who are you? Yeah, because that's the thing is, you all think I'm Lewis. That was a lie. I am a sleeper agent, designed to take charge of Tabletop's presidency and coup it from inside. Not for war games, no, for LARP. Oh. That's right, LARP ascendancy all along. Can we go to the next slide? Where do you fit in the world? I fit in the world because I have been designed to do this LARP queue. And when Matthew says my activation phrase, I will mercilessly enforce LARP's demands. How much of your favourite food stuff would it take to do the director review? A lot. It's sushi. A whole ton. No. A lot. In the thousands. I'm going to go for 2,000 at a conservative guest. And a fun fact about me. I don't want to do the tried and tested camel one. Everyone that's read my exec profile knows the camel one. You know what? Fun fact, it would take 2,000 sushi rolls to make a life-size replica of me. I'm getting out of this. The real moral of the story is, we all had fun along the way. Thank you very much for listening, everyone. Are there any questions I need to ad-lib horribly to?
Yeah.
You asked me to put this in mine, Lils.
You will have to put answer
Excellent.
questions.
I passed the slide.
Oh. More?
Good I think it's for questions.
Hey, there we go. Amazing.
I passed everyone for this.
Thank you. So yeah, are there any questions about the names of CCG's characters and the real characters of the CCGs, who I will, of course, know everything about? Fern.
So the guy in the background down to the guy in this art who's really bored and just fed up.
Yeah.
What's their name? And what's their deal?
Their name is Taco Daniels. They run a competing street food brand. They're very bored with donuts' fixation on sweet food and refusal to move out of that business. Excellent. Lils.
I don't play CCGs. Give me a character in a CCG's card that will make me start playing CCGs.
Can we just go back, actually, if you wouldn't mind, to the Jackson Howard image, please? Yeah, keep going. Stop. This one. Look at the shape of that friend. Look at the shape of that friend and tell me you're not at least a little bit intrigued.
I'm a bit intrigued, but I can...
Intrigue is the best place to start learning. Forget enthusiasm, that doesn't matter. Intrigue. If you are confused by the mysteries of something and want to unravel its mystery, you will learn more about it. Enthusiasm dies down over time. As long as there's something to discover, intrigue lasts forever.
Interesting. Okay, I feel motivated to do something. I'm not sure what.
Excellent. Excellent. You know what? I've been standing up here explaining something and I'm not sure what, so that makes two of us. But yeah, any more questions from chat, from the audience? Yeah, let's go, Matthew.
The egg thing, come to whatever the Yu-Gi-Oh card was. Where do the things in its mouth go?
Can we go back to the Yu-Gi-Oh thing, please, Anna, just so I can take a look at this? This egg thing?
Where does it go?
Oh, it's that one.
Oh, of course.
Clearly, the wings indicate something vampiric about this being. The bat's wings, that is. I'm going to say then that what it eats falls into a sunless void of blackest night, the depths of which will never be seen by mortal eyes. In it, there are exactly 2 burgers and a single headless corpse. Fern.
Are any voids not sunless? Isn't that a redundant descriptor?
What if a sun's fallen into a void?
Then the sun stops.
No, it's just trapped in the void.
No, we have consistent evidence that the suns that fall in voids stop being suns and start being corpses.
That's because you haven't looked hard enough for inconsistent evidence.
Unfalsifiable claim, that one.
Yeah. But yeah, any other questions from chat? I don't know if they've chimed in. Anyone else in the room?
Nothing from chat.
Or is that... Are we good to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening to my definite presentation. Thanks, folks.
Wow.
Yeah. Mine's quite long.
Yeah, it's fine.
I tried my best.
You did. Your best was, yeah, your best was strong.
Thank you.
Oh, what are we doing?
Lord.
Oh, good.
Who's next?
I mean, this is...
I need a victim.
Oh, God. Who wants to go next?
Third is up.
Okay.
It's time for horses.
It's like horses upon me.
Last one.
Well done.
I'm fine for
Oh no.
Oh my god.
Oh,
Wait a sec for me to... Okay.
Yeah.
Message that to me.
Yes, sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you. That was very kind. I hope you enjoy yours.
Anna, you good to click through? Or...
Okay.
Yeah, you will need the mic. No,
The one with
The
the
one
one.
that's
the one
yes.
that's plugged in.
Okay, look.
And you need to hold it close to your mouth.
I am very small and I am very anxious and I'm making poor decisions. Like being a horse, apparently. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
I've already made a mistake there.
Yeah.
I'm having identity
Okay,
crisis
you can
right
take
now.
click through. Cool, sweet. Okay, cool.
I'm currently having identity crisis. So, good start. In this presentation, I, a renowned horse expert, will explain all the basics of horses. This will include things such as how to care for horses, how to recognize horses, and how to appease horses. Please use this knowledge wisely. I have gained it through years of experience by being a horse. How to recognize a horse. There are some key traits you have to look for when looking for a horse. For example, to the family Equus, which makes them distantly related to philosopher and my personal arch nemesis, Thomas Aquinas, and closely related to the concept of the equinox. This means you can tell if something's a horse very quickly as a rough guess, how near it is to the equator, and how even it is, and also if it starts talking philosophy of you. This is why some horses have markings on their faces known as stars or blazers. These are a reminder of the common ancestry of all horses and Thomas Aquinas, the sun. So they're, again, my nemesis by relation. Nowadays, you can recognize horses by the sense of awe they inspire, not like that of their celestial siblings. If you're ready to the horse but want to determine its age, I've included a basic field spotter's guide below to help you do just that. Make sure you are doing this from a safe distance. I cannot stress this enough. I point out the notable features and any places that have been missed in the simplified version. Horses, like all things that come from space, start as baby spacelets. They then proceed to unionize, which is here being redacted due to the capitalist nature of modern society. I've been forbidden from explaining any details on how you would go about unionizing, because otherwise I will be assassinated by several mecha corporations at once. We then see here the long-nosed leg tapir. You can see it's like a tapir, another celestial ancestor more closely related to the moon, except it has legs. These are concerning. Put them away. As you can see, horses are inherently disobedient creatures, so they did not. Instead, putting their nose away into their entire face. Some people might say growing your face out to me, so it's not putting it away. I disagree because otherwise the horses will kill me. And then we can see the final face of the horse. Art. Horse patterns and colorations. Horses come in at least 2 patterns and colorations. And now you're going to a horse at each stage in its life. You want to learn a bit more about that horse. They come in many different shapes, sizes. Swear words are a form of horse. Colorations and markings. All the following are real names for different horse colors. I'll describe them without pictures, as it's not safe to photograph a horse. Done?
These are real.
Dun is a sort of light blue. It's like imagine someone took denim and then just sort of left it in the sun for about 7 weeks, and then while you're imagining that, someone else has got some paint and just scribble it on. That's what dun is. Roan, it comes from the lost colony of Roanoke. Roan is a color that will steal your living place and make it look abandoned, and deeply confuse anyone who knows where you live, because they think you will be dead. And as far when you come back, as far as they are concerned, you will have been missing for centuries. You do not recognize their faces. You do not recognize these buildings. Where are you? When are you? Piebald. It's the color of you. If you've ever seen a pie, they have a lush head of hair. If you shave that off, you get the color of the scalp, which is sort of nice, sort of apple-y brown. Skewbald. It's if you, when you Google anything and like that sort of vaguely bluish color that comes up in sort of the default like books, graphs, and stuff. Again, if you take a razor to your screen, you will get a kind of slightly concerning green oozing out. That's Skewbald. Flea-bitten. It's similar to the color of most plague rats. It's sort of vaguely black, because obviously plague rats also bitten by fleas. They are, again, vaguely related, though rats, as we all know, have share a different ancestor, planets. Colomino, actually this is sort of if you average a pizza, you get Palomino. If you get the average color of any pizza, they're all the same. Again, Papa John's don't want you to know this. Reading horse body language is extremely dangerous. Please do not try this at home. But now you can recognize a horse. You need to be able to understand. I cannot stress this enough. Again, this will save your life. This horse has found its purpose. Its purpose is to love. This horse seeks to hunt and kill, as you can tell from its elongated jaws reaching out to bite down on its prey and drag it back before trampling to death in its hooves. This horse is trying to do magic, as you can tell from the lightning bolt. This is known as the Flemen response. The etymology is this from German Flemmen, to bare the upper teeth, and from the Upper Saxon German Flemmen, to look spiteful. Not to be confused with the Upper Arakese Fremen, to not have any water. Scientists disagree about how to measure the spite level of horses, and there is discourse amongst the horse whispering community about why horses may do this. I'll explain some of the most common theories, which are all wrong, as well as my own theory, but in extremely simplified terms because it's not safe for you non-horses to know about it. The first most common theory is just that horses can't afford toothbrushes, so they just do this at random and hope that someone comes by with a toothbrush, just on pure chance. However, a study of the evolutionary lineage shows that this predates the existence of toothpaste. So either they were really desperate, or scientists are lying to you. The other main hypothesis is that horses eat air. And this is just how they grind it down from the sort of soupy consistency it usually is into tiny particulates which can be digested by a horse safely. This is complete and utter bollocks. The actual explanation is just that this is the one thing horses can do that still gives them joy, following years of just training and conditioning to be the apex predator. Each of these horses in the three images is conveying a different secret horse emotion, which I will also explain. Top horse, horse lust, completely unrelated to actual lust. It's actually just a kind of mild apathy with the world. Second one, horse hunger. Again, completely unrelated to hunger. It's actually the sort of, it's the sensation of drinking just a really nice hot chocolate on a cold day. It's just that kind of contentment. And this is horse fear. It's like regular fear, but worse. I've experienced it so many times. And every one of these slides brings a new shockwave through my body. Please send help. How to become a horse person. If you want to get close to horses, you must befriend one. And that means understanding what horses love and what they hate. Horses cannot feel neutrality towards anything. They are beings of extremes. I'll explain a few of the most important likes and dislikes of horses. What do horses love and hate? Horses, speaking myself as a horse, love hay, loyalty, very important. Betrayal is one of the greatest crimes that you can commit against horse kind. Hydrogen is just good. Like, we needed a precursor for stuff, and hydrogen came along and said, yeah, sure, I'll hook you up. I'll let you exist. I'll let stars happen. So we, as a species, owe a great ancestral debt to hydrogen. Reality TV, that's actually a typo. It's from the German Realité TV, which is a kind of soup. I will not elaborate. If you know if you've been keeping up with your Duolingo, you should know this already. There is significant discourse about crystals. Personally, I am extremely pro-crystal because horses are also related to goblins, and I personally have embraced my goblin lineage and want more shiny rocks. Give them to me, please. Horses hate coffee because coffee is the source of all monster energy in the universe, and monster energy is the one drink that can kill a horse. Everything else on this page is self-evident. Equipment, horse. Equipment is a great friend of mine. They are a fellow horse, and they have made these devices for you. Now that you've gained trust from a horse, such as my good friend Equipment, here are some utensils that they will provide you to care for and ride them. I'll explain which of these equipments is which, and when and how to use them. So this is a bit. You combine them together to make bytes. You combine those together to make a computer. Computers are very important for understanding the motivations of horses. Because once you have a computer, you can incite any horses in the area to extreme violence against it. This is a good sort of enrichment thing, and generally useful to help calm people down after they've had to interact with non-horses. This is a metal curry comb. It's not made, it doesn't have any. Sorry, my instinct is to point.
On the
No.
pictures, please.
No.
Also,
Okay, cool. I have been told to go faster. The twist is that people don't want you to know. These can all be called metal curry combs. No one can stop me. These are all metal curry combs. They're all made out of metal. Metal? Those bristles? Metal. That bitey thing? Metal. That knife mode? Metal. That is what metal looks like when it hasn't been put in a furnace. Speaking as a chemist, this is true. That thing over there, also metal. That's the floor, that is the actual device on it, not metal. How to ride a horse. Riding a horse is like riding a bike, and then once you've learned, you cannot forget. The horses won't let you. Why? Well, this is a very simple concept, and I'll explain. In order to learn how to ride a horse, you must first mind meld with the horse, and this sears the information permanently into your brain. And if it ever leaves your brain, you will become a horse, as your brain seeks to fill the emptiness that has been created. Horse riding is not for the faint of heart, but with the right dedication, you can become an expert horse rider in no time by mastering just a few simple skills. These skills are conveyed on the right in the universal language of the horse rider, emoji. I will elaborate as to what these mean for the non-horses among us. Right, where is easiest to start? Jigsaw. This shows that horses' legs are made of jigsaw pieces, which is why they are so fragile. So you must be very careful when make sure your horse puts its weight on the cloud and not on its legs. This is a common mistake that many horse riding beginners make, and it costs several lives every year. Please don't become a statistic. You must make a treaty with your horse that is diplomatically binding in order to be allowed to ride it. That's what the handshake means. The thumbs up shows that one of the first skills you must master is confetti summoning. You must be able to summon confetti from any of your digits. This is so that the horse can be shown that you are dedicated and you are willing to put in the hours of effort needed to master that most forbidden of clown arts. The sad face, horses must always be sad when you are riding them. Otherwise, they might be overwhelmed with emotion. Sadness is the neutral state of all horses. And if they feel any emotions at all, the cloud will disperse and you will fall. The speech problem, you must only communicate with your horse via text messages because horses have anxiety and don't like phone calls. Loudspeaker, if you ever need to fight off rival horses, put earplugs in your horse, pull out your loudspeaker and yell at them. Because horses have anxiety, they will scatter. Competitions, of course, one of my arch nemesis. Horses are not naturally competitive, though they understand that in modern day, many humans are. Once you can ride a horse, it is possible that you want to compete with your horse in one of the many types of competition. This is a scorecard for a special kind of horse riding competition called Dream Reaping. It's extremely challenging, but this scorecard clarifies exactly what the judges are looking for and how I did when I last competed against my arch nemesis. So, these three horses here represent the three genders of all horses. Forwards, the number 8, and fear. These bars, they may look like a bar chart to the uninitiated. They're actually an obscure way of measuring time. The top bar is hours, the second one is minutes, and the last one is seconds, so you want to have as much red as possible. It's important that you maximize the amount of time you spend in the dream in order to get as much harvest as possible. Enigmaticality is the name of the judge that was looking up the results for this event. As you can see from the labels, time flows weirdly in horse dreams. The longer you spend in the dream, every hour that ticks up, the potency of the dream changes and it becomes more dangerous. And every minute on a cycle, the dimensionality of the dream changes from 1D to 11 dimensions, and then to exotic dimensions like negative pi or anti-forward. And the vividness of the dream, again, increases linearly over time through seconds. At the end of the minute, as you change dimension, it rapidly spikes back down, and everything becomes numb. Unicorns, or magic horses. Contrary to what the naysayers would have you believe, unicorns do exist. These images are obvious examples of the abundance of evidence that we have supporting this, as I shall explain. Unicorns are renowned bakers, and they create these baguettes, or France ingots, in order to disguise themselves among other horses by giving them horns. Unicorns, famed for their fear of chemistry, which is why in the modern world we don't see them as much, because there's so much chemistry everywhere. If you've seen plastic, you can't see a unicorn for 5 days. Fire Prometheus was a unicorn. I do not need to elaborate. Furthermore, I personally met a unicorn one time behind Tesco, and I'll tell you all about it and what it wanted from me. It was hunting me down because I personally have as I've mentioned on many occasions, a great vendetta against the stars. And Prometheus was in league with the stars. That's why he gave the humans fire, to try and trick the humans into making more stars. And so this was, I in fact met Prometheus 2 days before he was going to give fire to humans and desperately tried to talk him out of it. He did not relent, and so here we are in 2022. Thank you for listening. Do you have any questions? Yes.
If you become a horse person, do you get a tail?
Yes. You don't get told where it is. It might be inside you.
So, earlier on you mentioned something about the horse assassins coming, or no, the assassins coming to kill you. Are they horses too? Is there a horse society here, or just
they're
is
centaurs.
it separate? Ah, so what, the centaurs are the ones who own the
centaurs
horses,
enforce
or
horse
govern
law.
the horses?
And the centaurs do not govern, but they enforce horse law.
Okay, they enforce.
And no, do not say that. They will find you.
So you claimed that the stars are your enemies, and yet they are the common ancestor of horses. How does that work?
Well, I mean,
bearing in mind you are a horse.
I would like to point out that the British Empire has done many bad things, and yet I am British. I am allowed to hate them. You can hate your ancestors. It's okay.
Fair enough. How would you fight a horse?
Me personally as a horse, or you as a human?
Anyone.
The first and most important step is to make sure you have at least 500 meters between you and the horse at all times. If you ever lose that gap, you die instantly. Beyond that, I cannot help you.
We're at time,
Yeah,
so
well,
let's-
That seems good.
Oh,
Yeah, there's some bonus slides, but you don't need to worry about them.
I ran over. We ran over, so it was fine.
Yeah. Horse, what was it? Horse of the week and...
Rules of stable and.
Oh, yeah. All right, who's next?
Slows down the process.
It was so good.
Who's next?
Please don't make me talk like
Victor,
What?
please.
Yeah.
All right. It's...
And the timing was perfect because.
Hello, everyone. Oh, you're going to need to turn this down because I know where to put the microphone. Am I all shot? Alrighty. Okay, so today is a bit of an interesting presentation because last year you might remember that I did a presentation on game design using alignment chart memes. But this year, I didn't have time to write a talk, sadly. But fortunately, Fern or Hannah, depending on what day of the week it is, was like, I'll write you a talk about game design because you're so busy. And I was like, yeah, all right. So here we are. Anyway, here's an introduction. This talk is about game design, the art of making, baking, or otherwise creating games. Baking is a very important part of game design, as I'm sure we'll discuss in this talk, but making and creating will probably get mentioned too. In it, I'm going to explain several game design concepts, and I'll even show some work in progress bits of a secret new game I'm working on thus far that I haven't told anyone about. It's really exciting. The fact that I haven't seen any of these specific slides and had no part in writing this talk shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. Fern knows me well enough. I'm sure it'll be fine. Let's get started. Okie dokie. What is a game? As you can see, there are 4 games on the side, and I'm sure that's what the next piece of text will probably say. There are lots of different kinds of games, such as 4 of them on this slide. Haha, get dunked on.
Get them back.
One of them here is an example of something that isn't the game. Oh, Jesus. One of them is here as an example of something that isn't a game. The one I started doing game design, I often confuse it as one. That's the one in the bottom right, Schwerkraftprojektionsgerät. I'll quickly go through their names and give an outline of each of these, just in case you're not familiar. So we'll start with the one that isn't a game, just because I've already said its name and I'm going to butcher it again, Schwerkraftprojektionsgerät. It looks like a game because it's got these Tetris pieces, and Tetris is commonly known as one of the big 4 games, along with Connect 4, Scrabble, and Disappointing Your Parents. But it's not a game, in fact, because it turns out it's entirely deterministic. You lose every time. The next game we're going to talk about is the bird on the top left. You might be getting this confused with the Wingspan game, but Wingspan is actually a game about games. So birds are a game because... Well, that's a good question. Scientists don't really know yet, but they hypothesize that birds are games because of how they flock with one another. They play together. They form a game in how they do their stuff. So, arguably, humans are also games, but I'm sure we'll get to this later, won't we? Is that a Mars rover? Something like that. It's a rover on a planet. This is a solo game. In fact, some of you might recognize it as a journaling RPG, where you just write shit because you're alone and bored, looking at no one in particular. It's a game because there's lots of fun stuff you can do while on a Mars rover, such as make pretty patterns in the Mars. You can look around. You can play other games on it. Arguably, the best thing about games is that they're able to facilitate other games in the process, which is a wonderful thing. And then finally, we're going to talk about the cake on the bottom left. Actually, so you may have seen those things where they have like an object and then surprise, it's cake. This is the reverse. This looks like a cake, but actually it's a game. In this game, you might have heard of it. It's called Don't Get the Jam Mixed with the Cream. It's a very good game where you simply don't get the jam mixed with the cream. It's pretty simple. It's pretty effective. Unfortunately, they've already lost, but such is life. Shall we move on to the next slide? Oh, they also have one thing in common. Well, hang on a minute. You said that they're all gay. Oh, okay. So Shverkov's projection's great does not have this property.
It does not.
I understand. Thank you. They all have a property, which is that they were all baked. So obviously the cake, you've got to not mix the jam and cream together, and that's just a recipe. Hence the baking. Birds, you could probably describe mating as baking, right? Watch everyone lose it.
Bacon egg.
Just break it in.
That's so bad. That's so bad.
And then the Mars rover is obviously baked because. So it's like, have you seen? There's a show called Bake. There's this show where they get bakers and engineers together to make something, like cool cars out of cake and that sort of thing. That's exactly what's happened here. They've baked this game out using an engineer and cake, I guess. That would make sense, right? Yeah, let's go with that. All right. Well, I've explained that they've all been baked. Let's move on, and maybe we'll talk about some more things about games. Or not, I don't know. Next slide, please.
There was a word.
Oh. Every game together. All of them. Every game in existence. Holy shit. That's a lot of games. That's a good question. I'm glad you asked it. But I refuse to answer it, so we're going to move straight on.
So good job.
It's a statement.
Oh, yeah. Well, I refuse to engage with your statement because we're running out of time, apparently. Let's talk about game mechanics now. Mechanics are arguably a key part of a game, along with story and vibes. Lots of games will have mechanics in. For example, Don't Mix the Jam with the Cream has the mechanic of not mixing the jam and the cream. Very effective. These are the core parts of the way that you play the game. The next slide will have some examples of good and bad mechanics. I'll explain why each of them are in the category of good or bad. But first, I'm going to explain this quick preview of one of the mechanics from my work in progress game. Are we excited? We get a grocery list. That's fantastic. So, here's the deal with this grocery list. As you can see, we've got some happy fruit on the side, and we have a to-do list. This is a game sort of relating to your life. You put the things that you're meant to do on the list, and then you tick them off when they're done. And, get this, you can even make up things to put on the list, and then tick them off for those free endorphins. Amazing. It's such a great new game. I really hope you're excited to hear about my new game, Fruit List, coming to stores, 2023. That'll do. But yeah, let's have some good and bad mechanics. So, mandatory goblin naming is obviously a good mechanic. I really don't think I need to explain this one, but just in case. Imagine you have a troop of goblins, and you need to refer to them, but you haven't given them names. What are you going to do? Nothing. You can't do that. You can't just say Goblin A, because all of them will be Goblin A. Every goblin wants to be Goblin A. None of them want to be Goblin B. That's shit. So if you name your goblins, you're able to refer to them, and thus have a good time. It also means you get to build up a bond with them, and if the goblin dies, you get to go, oh, my goblin died, and be sad. Amazing. Game design. Let's move on. Attack rolls are a bad mechanic. I feel like you've just given me really easy ones I can actually talk about so far.
I mean, good luck.
Cool. Well, the attack rolls. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the terrible RPG D&D, sometimes you roll some dice, and then you use them to determine whether you've hit or not. which is kind of boring, because if you don't hit, it's just like, oh, I didn't hit. Well, I guess that's me then, and that's not very exciting. So I much prefer the mechanic defense rolls, where you roll a die, and then if it lands in front of you, it defends like a big shield. Bean puns. Bean puns are mandatory in every game. Why? Because they make things lighter and more exciting, and it's very important that you pun your beans. Character creation is a bad mechanic because you should build your characters as they go along. None of this, oh, I want my edgy rogue to turn up at the tavern and do the tavern things. Nah, none of that shit. Just make it up as you go along. You turn up to, the DM's like, oh, I turned up to a tavern. So I was like, great. And then you shapeshift into what you want to be. Somebody's just like, oh, there's a barkeep. It's just like, I want to be friends with the barkeep. Congrats, you're now a cat. Let's move on. The concept of weird gravity. Weird gravity is a very useful mechanic in games because it allows you to confuse your players and yourself at the same time. It's very efficient. Also, if you're doing video games, you just sort of change a few numbers and a few multipliers and feel smug at the end. So it's really good. It's a good mechanic. I like it. Challenging your GM to competitive dabbing. This is a bad mechanic because dabbing is bad. Let's move on. Blending narrative and mechanics. So we've talked about mechanics, and mechanics are fine. But what we've got to do some narrative for those mechanics, because otherwise you've just told some people to roll some dice, and you're just like, well, this is shit. What am I rolling the dice for? Narrative. So following the work of known gamer Heston Blumenthal, games are often described as having flavour and crunch. That's the sound that they make, that dice make when you put them in your mouth.
Sorry.
That's okay. But we can go further. Like, flavour, crunch, those are all sound-based. But what about the taste of a game? The taste of the game is, in fact, the narrative, and the texture is the mechanics. So we're going to blend texture and taste together. They're going to complement each other. So we have a nice narrative and a nice texture. And this allows us to understand games by analogy, which is a field not really discussed by game design that often because it's fairly new. So when deciding a game, it could be crunchy peanut butter, for if it's a particularly difficult game with a weird aftertaste and works really badly with Marmite. Or soup, which is a very flowy, fluid game that you don't really need to worry about the crunch as much because you're not putting that many dice in your mouth. So which of these is better? This is a question that has challenged generations for a very, very long time. But I'll be glad to tell you that it's in fact soup. Soup is better. Crunchy peanut butter, I don't like peanut butter that much, and soup can come in multiple flavours and is warm. And therefore the analogy applies to games too. Moving on. So this condenses a review of a game's quality and complexity into a single phrase. For example, damn, that game sure is crunchy peanut butter. Or, wow, that chicken roast salad was a game. This is also useful when talking about baking games, because usually the ingredients you bake into a game are the ingredients that describe its narrative and mechanics. I will now illustrate this by explaining for what it means. Fuck. What it means for a game to be umami. Jesus. Yeah, it's actually the God game. So if a game is umami, then it's truly in a middle point, a point where we can all agree it's just good. That is a truly umami game. You play a really good game, you sit down with friends, and you play that game, and you go, wow, this game sure was umami, and you know you have a keeper in your collection. So let's talk about some examples of this new food-based method. Twilight Imperium is a ginger nut biscuit made at a factory who tried to cover up their biscuits were stale by adding a lot more spice. This one's just true. It's a tough game, and it's a bit spicy because there's like factions and shit. I don't know, I've never played Twilight Imperium. Crash Pandas is a Victorian sponge made by a surprisingly trained toddler. Well, raccoons are just surprisingly trained toddlers, and Victoria sponge is sweet. The game I'm currently working on is a veggie burger in between 2 slices of fresh sourdough with just a bit of tomato ketchup. Explain this in case the audience has a bad taste of food. What am I explaining? Like, it's not that hard.
What it means for a game to be a veggie burger in between 2 slices.
Oh, I see. Okay,
what's that
sorry. I thought you were
analogy
trying to ask me
Yeah,
to explain what a
No,
veggie
no,
burger between
you're
2
explaining
slices of
the analogy.
sourdough is, because I know that
Yeah,
one.
You're explaining the analogy.
Oh, okay. Sure. So I've talked about lists. I've talked about sort of like writing things on, and then writing on bonus bits when you feel bad and want to feel like you've done stuff with your life. God. So you'll be glad to hear that the tomato ketchup is the writing on extra bits, because a little bit of extra flavour to just make you a little happier. And then the rest of it is just solid. Like, you just bite into it and go, this is a solid piece of food. This is a solid bit of sourdough and some solid bugs. And generally, it just adds up to a sort of, it's slightly crunchy by virtue of the fact that life is a bit of a crunchy game. You have to put lots of dice in your mouth during life. But also, it just tastes good. So let's move on at this point to game balance. So here is my seesaw. This is actually a picture of my gun. Third probably took it there. We don't have Twilight Imperium, so I think we use something else. But yeah, game balance. Game balance is one of the biggest issues facing gamers today. For example, this is my friend Quinsington's board game collection. He came around for this picture. It has some balance issues. As you can see, one side is significantly heavier than the other side. I will now explain which one game would best fix this problem and why. So the weird thing here is actually, you've got to remove a game. It turns out Twilight Imperium, despite its weight and crunchiness, crunchy peanut butter, we've talked about this already, it actually has negative weight on a game balance scale. So if you remove Twilight Imperium, it'll actually balance perfectly, and that means you won't have to waste 8 hours of your life playing Twilight Imperium. So all in all, good job, Quinsington. I hope that helps. And now we're going to talk about gameplay briefly. So a gameplay is the most common form of adapting a game to another kind of media. You might also be familiar with game books, such as the Fighting Fantasy series, or game films, such as the World of Warcraft movies and Jumanji. Today, I wanted to talk about the game of my game. I have a visual reference, which I hope it helps. It might not help. Hey, this is actually like, I could work with this. That's all right. So we talked about fruit in the last episode of my game. Also, there's a base next to it. That's cool. I just left that there. That's my bad. You see, it's covered in boxes, just like the list, and you can just write your things on the list. This is, in fact, an alternative way of playing my game, hence a game. Rather than having box item, you can have the item in the box, and then you can cross through the box. Whoa! Fucking amazing! God, it might not help, but I think it does. So yeah, playtesting. We're now going to talk about playtesting, which is a very important element of games. I asked some playtesters for their feedback on my game about life. Here's what they said. This game misunderstands bones. S. Kelly Tongue. I think S here ended up dealing with the Broken Bones expansion, where sometimes just you get on with your daily life and then you break some bones and it makes everything harder. Very sad. It's okay, S. Kelly. We'll get you back. The predictable encounter table was not as terrible as I expected by Fake Tim. This comment confuses me because I think the encounter table is not predictable in the slightest, hence why it was less terrible. So Fake Tim can eat my shorts. I really like the horses. They made the game very relatable by Normal Human 407053. Yeah, I like the horses too. I'm glad you agree. I think they really helped with the list element of the game. I didn't like the part where I was reading through character 14 counting spaces of line 16 of page 2 where there was a font I didn't like. It was also on the other page, but I didn't like it in specific, like, Kerrid. I mean, all I could say to Kerrid is fuck you. Like, that's it. I wish I wrote this so badly that I print off and wrote my own name on the cover. Derek. Honestly, Derek, go for it. Plagiarism is a form of flattery. One of these pieces of feedback is terrible and wrong. I told you about this, the font. One of these pieces of feedback is a shining exemplar of how to give feedback. Again, horses. Here's how I'll act on all this feedback. I think I've pretty much said all this, but just in case it wasn't certain, fuck you, Kerrid. Let's move on. Finally, a sneak preview of my game. Is this all I'm getting?
No.
Oh, okay, there's a bit more.
I'm trying to press the button and it's not listening.
Some of these images relate to my game. Some of them don't. The others are there as a distraction, exactly. I assume this is Fern's ADHD putting bonus items on the side. I'll briefly explain the ones that relate to my game. Now, I feel like it's pretty obvious by this point what my game's doing, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much. Obviously, the TV, you can put watching TV on your list. Oh, Jesus, okay. You can put watching TV on the list. The Minecraft man's there as a joke. Cutting peppers, you can put that on the list. Looking at clocks and feeling despair, you can put that on your list. And the lizard's there just because the lizard's really cool, and we'll have a lizard expansion for the game soon. Thank you for listening to my talk. Apparently I overran a little, so apologies. And are there any questions about games? Oh, okay, we're starting with a question. Hello, Fern.
Is the lizard expansion about writing lizards on your list, or is it about being a lizard with a list?
the latter, because the former you can do without the expansion. You could just write lizards. It's not that hard. You don't
I can't
need...
spell.
Ah, that's your problem. Hello, Scarlett.
Hey, if you were to make a gameplay of your game, who would you cast as the checkbox?
I'd cast Tim. That's him over there. I think he'd be a really good checkbox. He could smile when it's ticked and be just disappointed when it's not. And the power of the disappointment will make you more likely to tick the checkbox, because Tim's never angry, he's just mildly disappointed. That seems like a fair summary, right?
Seems to be.
Except with the mega game stuff, that was like how badly it was written. That was a fair reason to be more than perturbed.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Are there any further questions? I'm aware that... Oh, hello, Matthew.
Top 3 goblin names.
Top 3 goblin names. Boblin, Coblin, and Foblin. But Goblin is a close fourth.
I think we're probably at time.
Yeah, that's okay. In which case, thank you for listening to me talk about game design. I hope you enjoyed.
Oh, is there one more song?
No, no, no.
Oh, there's a bonus slide. Okay.
No, not a bonus slide.
Oh, yeah, remember to donate. I did
We are
this
doing
like
this for a reason.
2 minutes. I did this at the start of the segment,
You can do it
so
at the start and
I can
end.
do it again. You should donate. Is it 8 p.m. yet?
Yeah.
Oh, you can't donate for music anymore. Well, music for tomorrow, which is good because I have so much music to learn. But it'll be all right. Alrighty, brilliant.
Who's next? Step right up.
You should go. Talk about maths.
Okay, I guess I'm going.
Okay, cool.
Can someone
Because
else-
like going last is like probably spooky.
Yeah, just show.
Game design. It exists. Thanks, Fern.
Hi, folks. I am a liberal arts student,
Oh, not yet.
and I don't know about maths, but yeah, wish me luck.
It'll be all right.
Part 0. It's already a number there. In which we find out what maths is, talk about proofs, and discover the most important symbol in all of maths. Maths. What is it? Maths is pervasive in society, whether for good or bad. I would argue largely for bad. Those which claim to understand maths are called mathematicians. However, they keep doing stuff that confuses me and many other people. True. Why did they replace all the numbers with the letters? I think they're trying to get in on the humanities game. They realized that humanities was in fact doing cool and good things. I won't say better, but I am thinking it. And they're really trying to steal it. And we're nice, so we'll let them have some of them. Why do they keep making up words like that word?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's a good question. I am pro making up words. Very pro that. I'm anti the gatekeeping of words. I've never seen this word, and I don't think I ever will again in my life. I think it will be forcibly scrubbed from my brain the second this talk is over. And I don't love that, because there's just words that I'll never know about, and will never have a chance to know about. Seems unfair, seems cruel. What is the biggest number, and why is it 1 billion? Well, it's not actually a billion, but that's what all the billionaires want you to think. They have more than a billion. But they want it to be like to people to pretend it's capped at a billion, so they can be like, oh, we're billionaires, like it's just a big number, lol, like it's not that much, it's so much. Fuck billionaires. Carry on. Today I'm going to demystify maths, and maybe even answer some of these questions by talking about how I can talk about how things make you feel. Yes. Proofs. First, we're going to talk about one of the most important tools in a mathematician's arsenal, a theorem. This is used to state some property that they want to prove to their nerd friends. Cool, okay. We'll look at an example in a minute, but first I will comment on a few alternative ways to state properties. Lemma, relating to the Lemma region of France. Outright lie.
That's it. That's it.
Okay. So, Lemma is a good name, an alternative for Gemma, and that's who it's named after. It's named after someone called Gemma. There was a typo, so now it's called Lemma. It's not actually named after the region of France. You can state properties. Okay, yeah, no, this is about real estate, is what we're talking about right now. These are, yeah, so lemma is properties in the region of France. They're sort of chateaus, castle type things, very nice. If it's good, it has a moat. If it's bad, it doesn't. Outright lies. Most real estate agents do lie, so I guess that's the kind of the most common. Like, theorems are quite an underground field, frankly. I think it's mostly outright lies that you get. Yeah. Theorem 1, Finbar's theorem. Wow. Theorem 1, these slides will introduce the entirety of maths. Great. Serving as a useful guide to our audience members and me as to what maths is. No maths will be left out. Proof, Finbar wrote these slides and says so, get dunked on. There you are, you're all dunked on. Okay. The most important symbol in all of maths. Interesting. So as you can see, this pertains to the game that Finbar is working on, in which you tick off things as you go about them through the day. This symbol stands for all potentiality in the universe. Everything you could and could not achieve at any given moment, at any given time. It is a very important symbol. I think some would quibble that it's the most important symbol of all of maths, but I'm not going to be one of those people. I'm going to let Finbar have it. The most important symbol in all of maths, right? Yes. What you saw on the last slide was a proof, apparently. A formal mathematical statement that persuades your nerd friends that our theorem is true. The most important part of a proof is the symbol at the end. The most common one is box, which means I told you so, and also all the other things we just described. There are some lesser used symbols, however, which I will now quickly name and explain the meaning of. Good. So this is actually the lizard expansion. No one really knows what lizards look like, so we've stylized them into a box because they're best at drawing boxes. That's a dragon. That's the dragon expansion. Dragons are in fact dangerous, and again, it's debatable about whether anyone's ever seen a dragon. So again, we stylized it into a square. Okay, this one is no longer about the other two things. I think it's sort of the precursor to 40k. I don't play Warhammer, so I'm not sure. But yeah, that's that symbol. And X marks the spot. Part one. Part one, number theory, in which we find out what numbers are in theory. What are numbers? Oh, there's a number there, that's one. How many are there? Numbers were invented by an unknown entity as a model for gender, but this model was considered too esoteric and thus discarded. I agree, I was firmly pro-discarding this model. Nowadays, they are used to make you feel things, mainly about your bank balance, that is true. Mathematicians claim that they use numbers, this is a lie, as they just make up big words instead. Again, associative is a made-up word that I still cannot say and will not learn. I will now tell you about the biggest and smallest numbers. Okay. Oh, sorry, yes, no. My bad, to presume there was more about the biggest and smallest numbers at all. The biggest and smallest numbers. Okay, think of everyone, some audience participation, I guess, in your heads. Think of a very, very, very tiny thing. Okay, we all thinking of that? That's the biggest number there is. That's the biggest one, whatever you thought of. So well done. And the smallest one, well, I know there are two numbers on here, but they're irrelevant. The smallest one is probably 2. How do numbers feel? I'm not a trained therapist, so I won't try and therapize the numbers. We identify how numbers feel by the symbols they're written next to. Interesting, okay. 1 and 2 are friends. Oh, 1 and 2 are lovers, gay. Okay. 1 and 2 are enemies. Interesting. What? Ooh, okay. Friends. Okay, so this is really the slash should be lovers if you read fan fiction. But you don't, so that's okay.
I saw this talk. I helped make the slide. I have failed you. I'm sorry.
You missed the one joke.
No, what slash is probably, oh god, how to describe this very confusing, nebulous concept. I think that probably maybe enemies to lovers or friends to lovers, but kind of like combined in one. Again, it's more of a complex emotion. You'd really have to ask the numbers. I don't want to speak for them. It's a kind of an untranslatable language, I would say. Fucking hell. These properties are transitive. Well, that's easy. All these numbers are trans. All numbers are trans, and you can't stop them being trans, and shouldn't try to. With this, we can check facts. Consider the statement, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Unfortunately, maths proves that this is actually wrong. Great. Oh god. I was promised I wouldn't have to do maths. I feel lied to. No, it is, and I'm going to ignore it. The enemy of my enemy is my friend is a statement that I already don't understand, because we all know that the true enemy is the enemy of music. So I guess that, yeah, because no one has explained to me what the equals slash line symbol is. That's a Z that was having a bad day. No. Anna. I'm partly a spokesperson for maths, mainly a spokesperson for liberal arts, trying to branch out. I don't know everything, and I'm not too proud to admit that. Yes, Spur?
It means they're the same as fanfic.
It's right.
It's fanon.
It's fanon. Okay, that does clear things up. This is about a throuple, then.
Like the next example.
So, fortunately, we can instead prove that if you're if you're dating two friends individually, that is like dating them as a pair. Oh. Okay.
We did mean things.
I think that as long as there's healthy communication, I feel like what I'm actually being asked to do here is therapy, and it's fine that you've asked me to do it via the medium of a presentation, but people can just ask me for their assistance in general. You don't have to make me sort of do a maths convoluted presentation to ask about polyamory, I think. As long as everyone's happy, I don't think that it is like dating them as a pair, because two people are fundamentally separate, and I don't think that. I think pairs are mathematical and don't really translate across. They're either fruit-based, which is gay, I guess, or mathematical. So, but you've misspelt it there if you meant it to be gay. I think we can move on, frankly. Note how these are letters instead of numbers, otherwise the number police will... Well, yes, okay. The number police like binary things and like monogamy, and, you know, therefore this conversation about polyamory is frowned upon by the number police. Okay, I need to move on. Special numbers. Here are some fun, truthful facts about numbers. 0 is both a number and a letter. This is fundamentally true. This has implications. I need to say them, apparently. It means that you're all saying words wrong. You should just be leaving a gap every time there's an O, because it's not an O, it's a 0, so you should be leaving a gap every time you speak that word, okay? Please start doing that. Pi is not safe to eat, but E is. This is why they're called irrational numbers. Yeah, that seems legit. 3 is the second gayest number. Yes, the number you all thought of is the gayest number. Part 2. Part 2, graph theory, which we learn a useful tool about thinking things together. I hate graphs. I'm just going to say it now. Most of this is going to be irrelevant. I hate graphs so much. A graph lets us... Okay.
Are you thinking about the graphs? Because you might be thinking plots.
We'll find out. We'll find out.
Cool. Oh! No! No! A graph lets us represent how things relate to one another.
Like
They
some
have
math,
no...
please.
Sorry, they have nodes. I just screamed and then realised that was too close to the mouse. They have nodes, which are things they're related to. I did like A-level maths randomly in like year 9, and I know what nodes. Well, I knew what nodes were then, but I don't remember them now. I guess these are nodes, and they have edges, which says that two things relate. Yeah, like rogues from earlier. Rogues are edgy. They relate. They're relatable to the common teen. Good food graph. This is the good food graph, which links foods that work well together. To do, put justification here. This, again, Finbar has just put kind of like a prequel sample of their game in this presentation, which is generous of them to give you all a sneak preview. As you can see, spring onions are like emotionally linked to fruit because fruit is nice to have in the springtime. Pineapple and pizza, some people eat it. I literally do not give two shits if you eat it together. That's fine, it doesn't bother me. Beans and some strawberries do seem like spiritually quite close. I'm not quite sure why. Yeah, I guess that's all the justification I really care to do. Click to add title. Oh, this is meant to be here. I was forewarned. I don't know if this is a graph, but it's a shit one if it is.
Oh.
Okay, graphs can represent many relations such as relationships, genders, and frogs. I will now name each of the following graphs and tell you what they represent and how they make me feel. I can already tell you how all graphs make me feel. Sworn enemies. Interesting. Okay, right. When I was told there would be no maths, I continued to...
You just have to tell you how they make you feel.
Oh,
Yeah.
it makes me feel
Yeah,
bad. It makes me feel confused and bad.
There you go.
Yeah. That makes me feel more confused and more bad. That makes me feel less confused and less bad because it looks like a little mouse. Oh, that one is how you start to summon things.
Any particular things?
No, just some things. Part 3, category theory, in which we can learn about a useless tool for linking things together. Category theory law. Category theory was invented by Carlos Category theory, beautiful, in 1969, nice. As a mathematical practical joke, it is known for its ridiculous words such as functor, one who functs. I will now define a few additional category words for you, category theory words. Adjunction. This is when you come to a junction in the road and you have to pick which way you're going. Easy. Co-product. This is when you, instead of co-parenting, you co-produce a product. I mean, some parents do kind of treat their kids like products, so maybe this is just what they would call co-parenting. Don't be like that. Bifunctor. This is when you're bi and funky. Oh God,
Yeah,
there's more.
This is the last bit.
Applications. Real maths, real mathematicians, how it makes me feel. Bad. It makes me feel bad. So bad. There's so many boxes. Too many. Stop, please. That's all. That makes me feel confused. It looks like some kind of science where you try and put a mouse in there and you're like, oh, are mice clever? Well, I don't know, but they're not doing that kind of shit in their normal life. It feels unfair to make them do it for us. Like, I don't know that labyrinths are the natural habitat of a mouse, and I don't think it should be. That makes me feel good. Mystical, true, yeah, that makes me feel good. No. Mathematicians have played us for fools. Yeah. Any questions? Oh God, there are questions. Yep, Tim?
Is there any chalk down there?
Yes.
No. No.
We should have some chalk.
Okay.
Oh God.
I have chalk in my bag, I think. I don't know.
Well, if you could dig some out, that would be.
Oh God. Is Tim going to do some actual maths with the bullshit I made up?
Matthew?
What actually is associativity? I'm actually going to explain that in a moment. As if it's that
Don't, Tim. We've got more talks.
Associativity. Associativity.
It's
So-
associative.
Well, think of a word. Think of another word. Linked. Associativity. You've done it. You've done it. You've cracked maths.
I mean, can't even argue.
Apparently, chalk is not. Is chalk being?
Fern's run
Acquired.
to possibly get chalk.
Good lord. Okay.
Trying to think if there are any other questions.
You are right that maths shouldn't gatekeep with long words.
Thank you. Thank you. I do genuinely believe that. I believe probably 80% of the things I said. Yes.
What do you think of imaginary numbers?
I think they're great. I think my degree is going to be called something to do with imagination. So I think that they're probably the one bit of maths I'm allowed, honestly. Yes, Fimbo?
What's your favourite number? Best
Um,
number? Top 10, no, top 1 number.
I don't know. Number 1 is like quite a solid number. I think it's useful, practical, comes up a lot. It's red, so that's nice.
Red?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, Matthew?
What's the worst number?
I don't know. I don't want to like throw shade on numbers super much. Feels unfair, feels cruel. I don't think there is a worst number. No, I don't think there is. I think that's my answer. Are we good?
Yeah.
Am I free? Thank you.
Final talk.
Yeah, I believe it's just me to go.
Do you want a fun fact then? The last 4 images, or like the ones which were a single slide for an image, they all prove the same thing.
Yes.
The last 4 slides,
Alright.
they all prove the same thing. Oh, okay. That's cool.
We ready to start?
Yeah, let's get some vibes.
All right, yeah,
Stop now.
this talk is called Literary Characters, a vibe check. I don't know what the words karaoke means. First of all, Lewis wrote these slides. Hey everyone, hope you're doing well, Lewis. He's not in the room right now. And thus is responsible for any hot, mediocre, or lukewarm takes to come. At the end of every character slide, I will theorize about which TV/video game character I think has the same vibe as the character from classical literature. And then I'll move on to Lewis's conclusion and do my best to explain it. And I'll definitely remember this when I'm presenting. So how can we vibe check characters? It's a well-known supposition that certain character archetypes show up time and time again across the years. For example, Frodo Baggins and Luke Skywalker are both heroes from inconspicuous homes who are sent on a magical journey by a wizard, space or otherwise, after many trials and sacrifice, to defeat the Avatar of Evil. Therefore, Frodo and Luke have similar vibes. But this is a fairly obvious one. The rest are a result of 2 a.m. Lewis's awful takes, in which figures from literary canon will be compared to those who really, really aren't. And I'm glad that Lewis has taken responsibility for 2 of these talks now. So, first off, we have Frankenstein. Frankenstein is, of course, the creator, not the monster, although really, we all know who the real monster all along is. Frankenstein is an ambitious, arrogant academic who fears 2 things: his creation and responsibility for taking responsibility for his creation. Who would do that? He sacrificed the life of his adopted sister so he wouldn't get in trouble with parents for creating his monster, which is honestly just a dick move for all involved.
Yeah. So I was meant to say this earlier before the talk time. I think Lewis wanted you then to say vibe checked.
Who I vibe
Yeah,
check?
who you associate like pop culturally with this character, and then the next slide is Lewis's vibe check.
All right, cool. So Frankenstein is kind of like Hugo Boss. This is like the disposition of a perfume manufacturer or a stand-up comedian, depending on who you think Hugo Boss is. Oh, right. Yeah, the connection here is so obvious that Scarlett will explain it. Look at that mustache. He's responsible for the creation of Sonic or something like that. Or Shadow. I'm not really sure about Sonic lore. Shadow is a monster. He's got the twirly mustache. I don't think Frankenstein in the previous slide has a twirly mustache, but that's obviously a Photoshop. Goggles, very important for science. Next up, Prince Hamlet. He's an edgy university student who is more concerned with holding up a skull dramatically and lecturing it than he is about his studies. He is friends with some really dodgy people, including a literal gang of pirates who he hires to kidnap and kill his best friend when they grow apart. He doesn't do anything for like half the play, at which point it's too late. Some real procrastination issues there. He isn't expecting the guy who poisoned his father to use poison when he hires someone to fight Hamlet. A rookie mistake. I mean, this is just basically me. Like, I mean, like, procrastination issues want to call out you, Lewis. And, like, you know, I like me some pirates. Like, why would he do this to me? This is like my entire backstory on the slide. So Prince Hamlet is like Anakin Skywalker, actually. According to, like, this one makes, like, even more sense. Like, you just, like, sitting on his ass, like, waiting for, I don't know, like, Emperor Palpatine to go, like, oh, yeah, your girlfriend's gonna die. You should stop it. And it's like, yeah, I should. Like, Jesus. Like, why did you wait until halfway through the movie to think that, you stupid? Now we have the favourite literary character of someone who doesn't read books, Heathcliff, from Wuthering Heights. Yes, okay. He's edgy, competitive, and loves a good argument. He has a fierce rivalry with a workplace rival, and no matter what happens, both of them seem weirdly attached to it. He's overly dramatic and extravagant, and he dresses like it. This is. I mean, like.
Definitely cheating.
I mean, like. It's kind of like Eminem. Like, you know. Like, you know how Eminem. Sorry. You know how Eminem gets into rap battles with people? Like, rap battles and arguments are the same. Like, and like, you know, workplace rivals, like, there's a scene, I think, like, Eminem is a West Coast rapper. Someone's gonna flame me in the Twitch chat for that. But yeah, but also, Miles Edgeworth of the Ace Attorney series. Have you seen the jawline on that man? That's a man who can get into arguments. He will chomp your face off with that silver tongue. Now, the most popular character on this list, Odysseus of the Iliad and the Odyssey, who was outsmarted by a giant, monstrous villain. He went on an odyssey. Neat coincidental naming. Thanks, Lewis, for that observation. Across many varied, adventurous worlds. He fights dozens and dozens of monsters, and always seems to succeed, despite roughly the entire Greek pantheon fighting against him. He gains power from various pieces of clothing, from scarves to full-on disguise, which worked on everyone except his dog. And obviously, this is exact same vibes as Mario from the Mario Odyssey series. Like, you see, like, he gains powers from, like, various pieces of clothing. Like, that's just, like, throwing a hat at someone. I mean, that's, like, the one piece of clothing, but then he kind of uses the other person's piece of clothing. Let's not think too hard about that one. Like, Goombas are
Oh my
God! I'm a genius! Get wrecked, Lewis!
Holy shit. Yeah.
Now,
Oh my god.
we have Lady Macbeth. A woman who is very good at conveniently seizing on convenient opportunities that she conveniently creates. Conveniently. She drives her husband to greater and greater heights with no adverse consequences at all. None. She died tragically off screen, probably because an Elizabethan audience couldn't handle the death of a queen on stage. Pathetic. Like, I don't know, like, that person from Alien, probably. Like, I mean, yeah, Bradley, because, like, she gets the alien in her chip, and it's like, oh, yeah, and I'm just going to use this for cash, because that's what Wayland Yutani Corporation do, because I know stuff about this as well. Stop looking like that, Tim. Obviously, this is Cersei Lannister, because this is also another property that I barely know anything about. She's like a queen, I think. No, she's not. Is that how Game of Thrones works? Cool, we got some shrug. We got one thumbs up and a bunch of shrugs. Excellent. She got blonde hair. Alright, now we've got Huckleberry Finn. He's a lovable rogue with a penchant for hijacking boats. He has a habit of having crises of consciousness and often needs to be reminded that he has a moral compass. He is used to defrauding those around him, and yet is completely blindsided by anyone playing tricks on him for some reason. And this is obviously the dude that punches the other dude in that Metal Gear Vengeance Rising meme. Steady, hit that one. Because you have Senator Armstrong, right? And he's like, nano machine, son. And the other guy's like, no. Anyway, this is Jack Sparrow. He's a pirate.
Cheers.
He just he's kind of opportunistic, so I guess he's also kind of like Lady Macbeth, but he also, he's got flair, he's got passion, he's got that eyeshadow, he's got that beard, Pwah. And the last one is Pandora. You know her. Everyone knows a Pandora. Pandora is tempted to opening the worst present anyone has ever been given, and it would be literal hell to return it. Mistakes were made, but she thrives in adverse situations. She held on to hope despite all else, even if she did take it a little too literally. And this is like Padme. Yeah, Padme. We all know that the Clone Wars was a mistake. Let's be real. But she was in that movie. She played a part in that movie. That stupid I hate sand speech is probably the worst present anyone has ever received. And, rebellions are built on hope. And obviously, we were talking about Tony Stark. What that I actually know stuff about. Essentially, Ultron is like Pandora's box. All right? You accidentally make a murder bot, you know how it is, and it starts taking over the world. He has hope. He always has hope. None of that Captain America bullshit. He's the real driver of the Avengers. And also cool glasses. Does anyone have any questions?
Just a second.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, Finbar?
So, Odysseus and Mario. That was great. Who's Luigi?
Luigi, fucking Achilles.
Yeah, fair enough.
Have you seen his up B? He launched someone into the sky.
Yeah, I've got no further questions. Go for it.
Yeah.
All that matter.
Yeah. Any more questions? Yes, Matthew.
Who's the worst Shakespeare character?
Worst Shakespeare character? Richard III. Fuck that guy. Not even historically accurate. Get dunked on.
As Derek.
Yeah. No, Derek is top 3. Oh, yeah?
What is your comment on new research in the field of literature that suggests all these people are the same character?
Well, we've seen some of them have similar vibes. And you ever watch those old YouTube videos where it links to people across various games and stuff? I imagine that we'd need a quantum supercomputer to get through all of human history, all of human emotion, to get the chain of vibes that links the entire world together. Not just characters in literature, but you and me And Steve,
That's the easy one. We're all Hamlet.
true. We are
So true.
all Hamlets.
So true.
Right. And that's it. Thanks for the vibe check. Thanks so much for listening to this talk. And thanks and apologies to Scarlett for presenting. Thanks, Lewis.
Do you want to say something to end?
Oh, yeah, no, yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you may as well, right?
Sorry.
I mean, technically we have an outro, but we'll sort that.
Just give me 1 second.
Mario.
Thank you so much for everyone who made, for making the talks and then presenting them. I personally am overwhelmed and need to sleep for many, many years probably. But yeah, no, that was really fun. It was really good. Thank you to everyone. And please donate to Tabletop Radio. It is for a good cause. It's really, it's important. And we've got, I think, an outro segment or something, maybe. It's not just me doing it, so I need some confirmation from someone.
What, the outro?
Yeah, but there will be an outro.
Yeah, we got like 10 minutes to basically say cheers. We're here tomorrow.
Like only 3 minutes over.
Hey,
Yeah,
nice.
Okay.
Okay. Bear with while we sort that, I guess.
I mean, we may as well just do it from there, to be
Okay.
honest. Yep. So let's
Bear with
move
for like 30
the
seconds
rum
then.
mic round and then focus on that.
Over there.
Oh, okay, we'll do it here then. Even better.
Do you want to talk this side?
Yeah, just leave it on the stand. And then I'll turn it down there soon. I'm very tired. Aren't we all?
May I talk about math?
Yeah, I did. I forewarned you.
I was not adequately forewarned.
You were forewarned enough, and you did a great job with it. Like it was, all of it was just like feelings, and then you used the you did
genuinely
feelings.
did an
Also, the
amazing
real
job.
estate so threw me. Like real
I don't know what
estate,
to talk about.
and the answer was real estate.
Yes.
Oh, we're all standing here now. This
Yes.
feels a bit
Hi.
odd.
This is the
Hello.
ritual.
Hello.
Welcome
What?
to
Oh, you're
the
right.
last 10 minutes of the stream.
I mean, you've seen most of this lot before, and you saw me just now, and Anna's quietly sitting behind the
see.
desk.
Yeah,
Single
thank you.
handedly
Oh,
hold
yeah,
this
thank
group
you
together.
so much,
Genuinely.
Anna. Thank you.
Thank you to both you and Himba for your absolutely heroic work.
You do know there's a second day of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still going to thank you there as well because you need it.
I'm just gonna
Okay.
blank the
Good
screen
luck tomorrow.
before all of my.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Do you have any
There we
secrets?
go from here. Done.
Do you have any secrets?
Nah, I don't have any secrets.
Disappointing.
Probably.
It's not very Hamlet core of you.
Oh God, I'm so tired.
Yo, anyone in chat who is literally Hamlet?
See you, Tim. Thank you for
Bye.
coming.
Please react with the Hamlet emoji.
Yeah.
Do we have
Or
a Hamlet
No,
we can
but that won't
serve.
stop them.
At least we have the strawberry
I've
jam
just
emoji.
come up with a good
Yeah,
idea
and
for another
raspberry
quiz
pie.
round. I'm very excited. I'm going to write it down
Good.
right now on camera.
What is there to say? Tomorrow is the next day, well, the last day of Tabletop Radio.
Actually,
What have we got?
We can go through the schedule because we didn't do that in the
Have we got any donation? Have we had any donations since?
Not recently, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
If you're listening, please, it's such a good cause.
Yes.
Also, you get silly incentives.
Yeah, there's really
Wait.
fun stuff.
Oh, and it means that I don't have to learn any more tunes for tomorrow.
You're free,
Yeah.
except
I mean,
for
I
the
can-
ones to learn all the existing ones. But other than that, you're free.
Yeah.
Please
We'll be
add
fine.
us to chat.
We'll be
That's
fine. Oh, I forgot to tell you about my idea for an encore ending thing, but I'll do it off camera
Cool.
because otherwise there's spoilers.
Spoilers.
Small spoilers.
Right, what we got tomorrow? You've got the thing, or shall I do it? Shall I?
You can read.
I will
hold the
employ.
phone.
I mean, I guess you lot have talked enough today, and Anna and I have been behind the camera. So tomorrow we're starting with war games. I don't know if you want to say anything
Yeah.
about that, other than it'll be good.
Yeah, it'll be fun. If you liked me and Raylan chatting shit in our painting stream, it's like that, but we're going to roll some dice.
Is it going to be good for people who don't know anything about Warhammer?
Possibly.
You fill me with so much confidence, Scarlett.
Let's go.
Let's move on. Then we've got Tabletopoly 2 or Tabletopoly. You may have seen Tabletopoly last year, which was Monopoly, but
Good.
all of the.
We fixed every single
Were the
issue of
properties
Monopoly.
replaced with tabletop stuff, or is
Yes.
it just
Yes.
the cards? Okay, so the
yes,
properties
we
were.
fixed every issue of Monopoly as well.
Oh, cool! Good job.
Yeah. I've
I
been
say
told
we,
that
Alex,
it
personally.
consists mostly of jokes and in-jokes and references that are like a year out of date by now because it's the same version basically. So
That's-
I'm not going to understand any of
That's
them.
real
amazing.
I'm just going to be sitting there being like,
Yeah, we'll just be there like,
Well, I
lol,
think it's
from behind the
online, I
camera.
think it's
Yeah.
so.
But
Not
it should be a
that.
laugh,
Yeah.
and the donation cards. You are doing donation cards this year, right? I didn't just make
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
and you
have
can.
definitely
Is
had
it is
some.
any donation,
Okay.
right? Yeah, if you
That's how I was
donate
last
during
year.
Tabletoply, so here's your pro tip. You've just got to wait until Tabletoply and then donate. And then you get
beforehand.
donate beforehand. But if
Keep
you're
donating.
waiting, like donate then, you get a donation card and whatever you donate
Yes.
You
for.
get to cause so many problems.
You
Yes.
hit the schedule that we were looking at.
Challenge me.
But yeah,
It'll
it'll be grand. I'm so tired, I've been here all day.
I think I remember this.
Yeah,
I
but
also
I've been
remember
fighting
this
this with Anna, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
fair
is a
I think I
bastard.
remember the rest of the schedule.
Then it's the second RPG, so Raylan's gonna be running
Woo.
Orbital Blues. I don't know much more than that. Like, it's
Well,
just, it is
have you-
Orbital Blues.
I don't know more than that, and I'm in it.
Amazing.
Things are happening. There is
Orbital-
a role-playing game.
If I remember correctly,
It's a good
Orbital
game.
Blues is
It's a
about
very good game.
We-
Yeah.
space and depression.
We've played
Woo.
it. It is
Yeah.
good. It's a good
Like-
system.
Is space and
Space
depression
stuff.
the correct summary?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sad
Yes,
Cowboys.
Sad cowboys.
Sad
Time
Cowboys.
Sad
to
space
be sad
cowboys.
cowboy in space, as opposed to the rest of the time where I'm just a sad cowboy on
Very
Earth.
much inspired by Cowboy.
Or a sad pirate.
Same thing.
Are you a traitor to the
Or just really
pirate
confused.
or cowboy cause?
Really
New
confused.
philosophical question: cowboys
Ye-
and pirates.
Don't
Yes.
understand the equivalence between these two categories.
Oh, I'm
And then-
so looking forward to this, but
The
I can't
best.
watch it because I'm going to be panicking.
The best
for
dream,
the next segment.
or it will be the best dream when you donate. Please donate to
Make
add
it-
rules to chess.
Make us
Yeah.
suffer.
Think. You can do anything.
Like, also,
Almost.
we can make some good rules up right now that people
Yeah.
can donate for. So I've already wrote in the donation incentive box if you can have Knights move 3 and 1.
Okay, cool, cool.
I've played with this. It's so much worse than you think it is.
What else? Oh,
Genuinely.
we were talking about when you move a piece and it lands, it pushes other pieces away.
Oh, the into the breach.
Amazing.
Yeah, the into the breach rule.
Pawns always move too.
Yeah, that's a cool one.
We have to include a scat place in chess somehow.
A scatter die.
A scatter
Oh,
die.
that's the Warhammer one
Yeah.
that decides which
Yeah.
direction
Yeah.
bonus.
That's how you move the
things.
queen.
Ah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
The middle line is now a moat that takes 2 moves to cross.
Oh.
It's not stolen from shotgun chess.
Yes.
We can blatantly.
Conceivably.
Yes.
What about chess, but the pieces phase out on every alternate, on the turn after they move, and then phase back in the turn after that?
Yes.
So move,
Okay.
phase out, and then phase in.
Yeah.
Cool. Please donate with that one. It definitely won't cause me headaches. This
I
is
mean,
why there
that's
is-
the reason to donate.
Yeah.
Each
Please,
time you
do
move
it.
the piece,
We have two
change
common-
colour.
We need more range.
Oh god, I
We
need
have
to
two
bring-
commentators for a reason,
bring my
because
chess set.
Yeah.
we're gonna both.
We need
end
more
up in
ranged
tears.
weapons in chess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Warfare has evolved, and chess should too.
Add a slingshot.
You can now
Yep.
move 2 pieces each turn.
Oh, good.
Well, they have to be
Actually-
different.
They have to be
Just
different.
like ages
There
ago.
needs to be a rule for what happens if the pieces are dating.
Yeah.
I mean, that reminds me of a
Please.
genuine game I
We
played.
need to
Take
have
these
chess, but
ideas.
it's a dating sim.
As I
Use these
said,
ideas.
I played this.
Donate.
It was made at a game jam a
Chess.
while ago. It also had meteors.
Wasn't that?
Ooh.
Oh,
I-
they become dance partners.
Yeah, like the chess. Oh god, it had meteors. It had a dating sim. It had snakes and ladders. It was basically a combination of as many games as you could put together, and it was amazing. I really
We
loved
could
it.
one up that if you give us money
Yeah, we can.
and your ideas.
Well, this is chess 3 rather than chess 2.
Exactly.
Chess
Yeah.
3000 Next Generation Deluxe and Knuckles.
To give it its full
Featuring
title.
Dante
to take from the
Traveller
Devil May Cry
Yes.
series.
From
Um,
Egypt.
And then finally on the schedule, and arguably most concerningly for me, our house band, and by house band I mean the people we cobbled together, a few days ago?
Yeah.
Yes.
A few days
Qualified-
ago.
Yeah,
Our first rehearsal was yesterday.
Qualified sound makers.
Qualified sound makers, from the person who did kazoos for the last 2 years, somebody who has seen a drum before, somebody who's seen a guitar before. Yeah, I mean, you've seen a drum more than that, and you've seen a guitar more than that, and also can sing really well. And Tal, who isn't here, who can play cello and bass, will attempt to produce the tunes that you have donated for in a way that maybe they'll be recognisable.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe
Just
they'll actually
maybe.
tempt
I mean, some of them were pretty good at the rehearsal. Others needed work, but we're going to rehearse tomorrow for that
Yeah.
reason.
Yep.
And I've still got to learn some of the ones that were donated for today. Shout outs to Alex for donating for Baba Yetu. That's going to be interesting. Yeah, exactly. You can join in for that one. You can sing. Baba Yetu, yes. No.
Previews.
Spoilers.
Previews.
Spoilers. Oh God. It's going to be an interesting ride, and maybe
Sound.
we'll have some bonus music as well, apart from the ones that we've donated for, just because we've got an hour and a half, and that's quite a long time.
Yes.
But it's all right. I have a chord machine, and other
A
instruments.
whole bunch of kazoos.
Yeah, a whole bunch of kazoos. I can find some of the music from Monsters and
When
Cruise
you
Ship, print
said-
it off, and go, here you
When
go.
you said chord
can
machine,
just
my brain
see-
didn't think like a machine making like musical chords. My brain just thought a machine that made like bungee cord.
I mean, I did have to buy some of those.
Yeah, so if we had a chord machine, that'd be way easier. I would
A
think.
rope winder.
Yeah.
We've got 3 minutes left on the clock.
Right, synchronized dabbing. Let's go.
No.
No.
Two dab.
God.
The chosen two.
But yeah, at this point, we're going to have to pack down this room so
Yes.
security don't get annoyed at us. And then we'll see you bright and early tomorrow for
Right.
walks.
Be
Oh
there.
God, I'm doing the first interlude. I'm just going to have to
Oh.
sit there and be
Have
like,
fun.
hello everyone, I'm very tired. But that's okay.
Fun.
Yeah, I did. But yeah, it should be fun. I hope you tune in for round 2.
I have to make a bunch of donations that I was going to make earlier but wasn't streamed for.
Oh, fair enough. Is there anything else? Is there anything else? I don't think so. I think we can probably just end it there then, unless anybody's got a musical outro. No, we're saving that for tomorrow.
Synchronized dabbing would be technically a musical outro.
No, it would be a hateful
music.
outro.
It can be both.
It's
We're
the
dabbing
sound-
to the sound of the.
It's the sound of
hearts.
Lils and I going, ugh.
If you all start synchronizingly dabbing, I'm going to go to slants.
Right, what if we unsynchronized dab to test that theory?
There's only
There's
two
only-
of you dabbing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
so it's necessarily unsynchronized.
We're trying to create like mass hysteria. It's like the dancing plague.
Yeah.
I'm so tired.